Microsoft has officially confirmed not only the existence of their smaller, more compact new Xbox console, but the price as well. After months of speculation and rumors, the news has been confirmed that the Xbox Series X will be going for $299. Now, the reason for the news being released could be because it was planned, or possibly because someone leaked the information just hours before Microsoft confirmed it. Meaning it's quite possible they had plans for a big reveal, but someone beat them to the punch and forced their hand in revealing the prices. Either way, we now know the price of both the Series X and Series S, which is $499 and $299 respectively. Depending on how often you game, what type of TV you have, and as you can imagine, many other factors will determine which console you should purchase if you have any interest at all. To no surprise, the more expensive Xbox Series X is superior to the Series S, which is why it costs an extra $200. Still, it doesn't mean the Series S won't impress, with Xbox referring to the console as having next-gen performance in the smallest Xbox ever. Today on Life's Biggest Questions, we're asking, is the Xbox Series S worth $299? How's it going, guys? Welcome back to LBQ. I'm your host, Jared Bronstein, and today we're talking about the next generation Xbox consoles, which are going to be available on November 10th. Let me know in the comments down below if you'll be grabbing one of the two new Xbox consoles when they come out, and as always, stick around to the end of this one for some common replies from a previous video. For now, let's get right into it. And if you guys are interested, we do a lot of tech videos on our channel, so be sure to click the playlist that just popped up on your screen right over here. Truth be told, this is a pretty opinion-based question, so ultimately, I won't be able to tell you if you should go out and purchase the console, because in this simulation we call life, we're all dealing with different things. For someone who just recently purchased the Xbox One S, the Series S may not be worth it, simply because you don't want to drop another $300 on a console. For someone with extra cash kicking around, this could very well be worth it. For others who are tight financially, well, it may not be so worth it to them. So this is really a question that, depending on your situation, only you could answer. That being said, I'll provide you guys with a ton of information over the course of this video, including the difference between the Series X and S, the payment plans available, and why these consoles are far superior to their biggest competition, Sony's upcoming PlayStation 5. First things first, $300 isn't a ton of money for a new gaming console. I mean, considering how iPhones are going for $1,000 nowadays, the idea of purchasing a brand new gaming system for just $300 really isn't so crazy. But for an extra couple $100, you can get the top of the line system, the Series X, which is expected to be one of the best, if not the best console on the market for the next little while. So let's take a look at both consoles. For starters, let's look at all the things both consoles are capable of. They're going to be able to run all of the same games, both from the past and in the future. One of the biggest selling points for your Xbox was that previous games dating all the way back to the original Xbox to an extent will be available to play on both next generation Xbox consoles. Any games purchased for previous consoles will automatically be upgraded to work on the new console, meaning, for example, if you were to buy Madden 21 today for your Xbox One and then bought the Series S or X in November, the game would not only be available to play on your new console, but the graphics and such will be adjusted to show you the best possible version. Think of it as a free game upgrade simply by purchasing a new console. That goes for all Xbox One games, as well as a handful of games from both the 360 and the original console. So that's a big win, regardless if you drop 300 or 500 bones on a new console, you won't have to repurchase any games you have from older consoles, unlike PlayStation, which is why Xbox is clearly superior. Meaning, you could just go buy the console and immediately play, unlike other consoles in which you drop a few hundred on the console and then another couple hundred on a few games. Again, I'm talking about PlayStation. Sony sucks. This is a huge plus because assuming you already have a previous generation console, well, this is saving you a ton of money. Unless you have a PlayStation. Okay, it's enough. Both consoles will have the same processor, and they could both run games up to 120 frames per second. Both consoles are also believed to have ray tracing, 4K media streaming, and 4K upscaling for games, as well as quicker loading times when starting up new games or switching between them. The main differences come into play when looking at the actual specs of the console, both on the inside and out. The Series S is going to be significantly smaller physically than the Series X. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for more information about the Series S, including its size, to be confirmed. But based on photos and videos, as well as Xbox selling the console as having next-gen performance in its smallest Xbox ever, well, the console isn't going to be very big. The Series X has been confirmed to be 11.8 inches by 5.9 inches by 5.9 inches. The official trailer for the Series S claims that it's nearly 60% smaller than the Series X, however, it appears to only be a few inches shorter in height. The trailer also showed the Series X standing upright, but it's likely that the console would be sitting flat in a more long than narrow way, as the Xbox symbol appears to be upright when the console is laying flat. Still, in regards to its width, the Series S will likely be 2.5 by 2.5 inches give or take, and maybe 9 inches or so in height. Depending on how much space you have in your room or wherever it is you want to place the console, size certainly matters. Another obvious factor here is that the Series S is the all-digital version of the Series X. There is no disc tray for games or DVDs. I don't really know who still buys DVDs, but it's still important to mention. Regarding games, well, it doesn't seem Xbox has announced a plan, but if you have old discs from previous consoles, it's possible you'd somehow prove the purchase and get a digital version of the game from the Xbox store, free of charge for the Series S. A lot of the big differences will only be of utmost importance to serious gamers. The Series X is going to run all games in 4K, if possible, whereas the Series S will be capable of reaching 1440p, still impressive but not 4K. It will also only have the ability to run digitally downloaded games, and to no surprise, a much smaller SSD. The Series X will be equipped with a 1TB custom NMB SSD, whereas the Series S is going to be coming in just over half the size, with a 512GB NMB SSD. And considering how some games, such as Call of Duty and Warzone, come in at over 100 gigs, well, for an all-digital console, just over 500 gigs of memory really ain't it, chief. That was a joke, a hail of joke. Hopefully you guys got that. This has led many sources to believe external ports will be available for memory purposes, although again, nothing has been officially confirmed at the time of this recording. The Series X will also have significantly better graphics, being equipped with a GPU capable of 12 T-flops compared to the Series S, which will have a GPU capable of 4 T-flops. Again, for the average person or gamer, you would notice a difference for sure, but it's like comparing a Rolls-Royce to a Mercedes. They're both nice cars, luxurious and top of the line, but a Rolls-Royce is still a Rolls-Royce. The point I'm making is that the Series X is a powerful console, so when compared to the Series S, it definitely is superior. Still, that shouldn't take away from the fact that the Series S will not only be one of the best consoles available on the market, but it will likely be the cheapest. At the end of the day, it seems the Xbox Series S is certainly worth the $299 price tag it will come with, assuming you just enjoy playing games and don't care to have the absolute best of the best. For example, if you have a 4K TV, then maybe I'd consider getting the more expensive console. But if you don't have a 4K TV, then it wouldn't make much sense to spend an extra $200 on a console, which will likely do the exact same thing as the cheaper option. Aside from this, if you made most of your purchases digitally, as I have with my current One S, then the idea of having a console without a disc tray really isn't that big of a deal. All in all, it really does come down to personal preference, what your TV is capable of showing resolution-wise, and your budget. However, the $499 and $299 price tags aren't the only available options out there. Xbox is going to allow people to pay off their consoles over the course of 24 months, featured in a bundled package with some other services the company offers. As of now, sources claim that the monthly payment plan will be available in 12 countries, costing $25 per month for the Series S and $35 per month for the Series X. Aside from the console, you also get access to Xbox Game Pass, which is a subscription-based service similar to Netflix, allowing you to play hundreds of games for one monthly flat rate. This includes all Microsoft published titles, as well as regular games, and access to EA Play games. Meaning for about $25 a month, you could slowly pay off your new Xbox Series X while playing hundreds of games, and of course Xbox Live is also a part of the Game Pass, so no need to worry about paying for that either. So to wrap things up here, at the end of the day, ultimately this question can only be answered by each individual. For me personally, I am leaning toward the Series X because I'm fortunate enough to have a 4K TV, so I think I really would enjoy the console to its full extent. That being said, I don't think I necessarily care enough to see the graphics look as sharp. I don't really stream games, and I mostly play sports games like NHL, Madden, UFC, and most recently Tony Hawk, because that game is lit. I also play my fair share of shooters like COD, but even what I'm running now, my One S looks mint to me. So at the end of the day, when all is said and done, given your situation, you can decide if it's worth it or not. I think for the average gamer, yes, it most definitely is worth it. The price tag for a new console with the power of the Series S being $300 is unheard of. Aside from that, the backwards compatibility is a huge selling point because not only can you get a great new console for a few hundred, but you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of brand new games, as they'll be scaled up or upgraded to the new console's version free of charge, assuming you had previous games from a previous console. The same goes for the Series X, of course, but it's also $500, and if you don't have the right specs to allow the Series X to run at its full capacity, we're talking like a nice 4K TV here and half a foot of space to place this mini fridge, then I'd say just grab the Series S. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. Are you leaning toward the Series X or Series S, or are you team PlayStation? Because if you are, just leave. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Is it safe to return to school? You guys were very divided on this video. Got a lot of mixed responses here, so I tried to include all comments, but you know, there's only so many I can reply to, so let's get to replying. Tommy Martin said, I personally really want to go back to school because it's my senior year and I've already missed half of it. It's September. How did you miss half of it? I just realized, when I included your comment, I was like, yeah, I get that, it's senior year, you want to, go to school for your last year, but then I realized it's September, so unless you're just doing one semester, and I guess maybe you started in August? It's a bit of a confusing comment here, but I feel for you, man. I couldn't imagine, I mean, high school wasn't even that great, assuming you're in high school, but yeah, I could see why it would be a little upsetting. It's like your last last year in high school and then you're going to like college or university, or just going out into the world when you're not a student anymore. Student of life, but not a student of education. Although I feel we're always learning, so maybe I'll just leave it at that. Siberium said, to have children educated, they have to be alive. Yeah, the question wasn't should we kill all the kids. The question was should they go back to school? I guess it's safe even. I understand where you're coming from, but I think, like if we really play it out, kids go back to school, there is an outbreak, which I'm not hoping for, but when they first go back, they will get educated, and then the outbreak will obviously have them go back home, and I get the point you're trying to make. Some people may die, which yes, I agree with you. I think it's not worth it. I think given our technology, we could do everything online. I think it is important that from a young age, you have social interactions with other people, but I also think a few months, hopefully this all blows over in a few more months, I don't think that's going to significantly change the rest of their lives. So I think, like they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Is that the saying?
It is not.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. I've said things on this channel before that you guys have just quoted me saying, so I'm just going to roll with it. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The Flying Hot Dog said, good thing schools first closed when there were only a few cases and opened when there were thousands of cases. I mean, like I said in the video, it really depends where you are. So, I'm not fully, I haven't checked as of this morning what areas are being hit really hard, but I know like California is having another bad outbreak. So maybe don't go to school if you live in California, but if you live in like, I don't know, like Wyoming, maybe you could go to school there because maybe they're not as bad. You get what I'm saying? For example, Ontario, I think as a whole, with a population of like 13 or 15 million or something, we got like a couple thousand cases. So I think it'd be okay maybe for kids to go back to school here because, again, I don't know where majority of the cases are, but not too bad. The US, different story. So I think it really depends where you're from and your situation. Anyways, guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein. You guys have been watching LBQ, or I guess listening, and we'll see you in the next one, or talk to you in the next one.